Welcome to the story of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, like you've never heard it before.
This story isn't told to you by the one Dragonborn that masters all, but told to you through the eyes of many different characters.
From soldiers in the Civil War seeking peace and order,
to seeking freedom and to remove the weakness from her lands.
From those cursed by the night, seeking to be the vigil in the darkness.
To warriors seeking honor, glory, and companionship.
To a shapeshifter and worshipper of the Daedra who seeks to live a life as a warrior.
To a mage seeking power and the arcane knowledge of Aetherius.
To assassins seeking fear and bringing the cold touch of Sithis.
To thieves seeking wealth beyond measure.
We all hope you enjoy
this story
of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim.
Chapter 37. Resurgence of the Thieves Guild. Due to the failings of Mercer and the fall of the guild in Skyrim, the Skyrim chapter of the Thieves Guild, in their desperation, targeted the very people they shared a home with. They plundered Riften. The Thieves Guild made everyone hate them. But now that I'm in charge, I want to change that. I want to bring Riften into the fold. And to do that, I need to make friends with the many merchants that the guild has made enemies. If we treat them well and help them become richer, they will feel a need to protect us, not throw us to the fire. I want to show them that the old days are over. No more robbing them blind or collecting protection money. I want to show them that if they work with us, they too can share in the gold to be made. That way, the guild can grow. And I can leave Riften and start a robbing spree all across Skyrim, knowing the guild is safe in Riften. While I'm out in Skyrim, I can find, or take, the things these merchants need. Once we prove to be friends, they won't be so eager to have us gone, but instead, welcome us as allies. I know that I was born to be the guild leader, to bring the guild out of the ashes. I know I'm where I'm meant to be. I want to have contracts all over Skyrim, the power and gold we would have then, an unlimited reach. I'll mend old wounds and invest in the businesses of Riften, or gather the things they desperately need. Then I'll set my sights on Skyrim. I need to get out there and start earning a name for the guild, to show Skyrim we're back, and nobody's pockets are safe. My first city to target would be Markarth. I'd collect jobs from Delvin and Vex, cleaning up some of the old jobs in this city. Once I was done, Markarth would know the Thieves Guild came knocking, and someone powerful would take notice. We'd be able to get a contact in the Reach. With the Reach as a contact, we'd have access to the silver in Markarth, and fences to sell our stolen goods, as well as guards who would look the other way. But first, I'd have to do the hard work. Pick pockets, break in, and steal goods, cleaning out houses of their valuables. I'd make my move during the night. When the people of Markarth would wake, they'd all be saying the same thing. Who has stolen my goods? The City of Stone will know the Thieves Guild has been in town. They'll know the Thieves Guild is back, that no door can lock us out, and that everyone's pockets are fair game. It will create such a stir that within no time, we'll hear back from somebody who could use an ally of the Thieves Guild. That night, I picked pockets, broke into homes and businesses, and stole their goods. I also broke into lockboxes and swept wealthy homes clean. By the time I got back to Riften late, it seems that news of my Markarth trip had already beaten me back to Riften. It seems I got the message out that we were back, and Delvin had a special contact job for me.
I got another special request, and I specifically asked for you. You're making a name for yourself, that's for sure. But more important, you're making a name for the guild. Keep it up. I want you to head out to Markarth and speak to Endon. He's a silversmith. He has some kind of shop there. His father was a good friend of the guild back in the day, so we could really use his family's influence back on our side.
I was to meet with a silversmith called Endon. His father was an ally of the guild in the past before it fell apart. Now is our chance to get back an old alliance in the Reach. After 5 days, I'd return to Markarth once the heat had settled down. This time, I'd return during the day. The number of Imperial soldiers guarding it was crazy. After all, this place was attacked by the Forsworn and Stormcloaks regularly.
Oh, thank goodness. I wasn't sure where else to turn. Several months ago, I ordered a special silver mold from some artisans in Valenwood by way of a Khajiit caravan. Well, it never arrived. Later, I found out that it was robbed by a group of bandits led by someone named Regal Strongarm. Look, I talked to the Jarl, the steward, the housecarl, everyone. They all told me their resources were spread too thin right now. Word on the street says that the Thieves Guild is coming back into its own in Markarth. So I figured... Exactly. Look, this mold is irreplaceable. I'll pay you well for its return, and I can also prove to be quite a valuable ally to the Thieves Guild. Yes, indeed. The only thing I can tell you is that the mold was taken to the bandits' hideout, a small cottage called Pine Watch. I'm not sure how many men they have inside, but I trust that won't be an issue for you. Good luck. Farewell.
He wanted us to track down a silver mold that was stolen from him by bandits. He knows where they're based, just like old times, stealing from other bandits.
Yes? Hendon's mold. I'm afraid you have the wrong place, my friend. You'll find no silversmiths here. I assure you, I have nothing of value. I'm nothing but a poor woodcutter just trying to make ends meet. Well, Hendon is a silversmith in Markarth, so I just assumed. So that's how it's going to be, huh? Fine. Take your best shot.
I wanted to see how Sapphire would handle herself. She's normally muscle, after all. This cabin didn't look like a bandit lair. Should have a look around. It seems these bandits are run by Rigel Strongarm. She's still kicking? That woman was bloodthirsty and paranoid. I could hear wind coming from behind the cupboard. This must be where the bandits are hiding. The hidden tunnel led down into some old, forgotten Nordic tomb. No wonder Rigel was doing so well. Nobody could find her. Until now. Bandits aren't important enough to avoid. Might as well send them to the afterlife.
It was a stupid plan, and now Regal is so mad she won't even let us cut him down from there.
Aye, and she's added more traps now as well. A moment of silence for our fallen friend.
So this Rigel has traps set up around her loot? That's good to know. Even adds a bit of a challenge to this heist. All I need to do is clear this place of the living, find this mold, and this clan's loot. There she was. I'm no assassin, but the last thing we need is for her to wake up, get paranoid, and attack us from behind. Better off just cleaning house and returning this place back to the realm of the dead. Gods be damned. That woman had traps for her traps. After we got through them all, we found the loot room with Endon's mold and many other goodies that would be payment for this little trip. All this will go to the guild, to get things back on track. All we need to do is get this all back to Endon, and the guild will have Markarth, one step closer to the dream.
Oh, you smell like a wet dog.
What was his problem? Very rude. Maybe if he'd spent hours in a Nordic tomb, he'd smell like a wet dog also.
You've more than proven that the Thieves Guild is back on its feet in our city, and earned every bit of your reward. Tell Delvin that he can count on me to provide the influence around here with the right people when he needs it. If you're ever looking to sell any illegally obtained merchandise, I'd also provide my services as a fence. It's the least I can do. When you get back to Riften, tell Delvin this new arrangement's working out quite well.
Still have quite a good bit of jobs available, if you're looking for some extra coin. I hear Endon's quite pleased to have his merchandise back. He's a powerful ally in Markarth. Should help the guild regain a foothold in the west. We're still growing by leaps and bounds thanks to you. And other merchants moved into the space outside the flagon. You're a natural. Never seen anything like it. We got a long way to go, but don't let that bother you. It's a lot farther than we've been in years.
The next place I wanted the guild to set up in was Whiterun. It's Skyrim's heart. With all the farms, it makes plenty of gold. I'd follow my usual routine, striking at night. I'd engage in pickpocketing, breaking into places and cracking safes. I'd make a lasting impression. People here would swiftly realize that the Thieves Guild was back in action. By the time I got back, Delvin had another job for me.
It appears your actions are starting to make waves out there. People are talking about the guild again. In fact, I just got a special job request in. We actually got a request from one of the most powerful families in Whiterun, the Battleborns. Make your way up there and look for Alfred. He says he's got a matter that requires a delicate touch, and I suggest you for the job. Don't make me the fool and let me down, all right? This kind of work suits you, and it's going to end up making you rich. What's the matter? Afraid of getting your hands dirty?
An unusual event occurred that day on the way to Whiterun. I heard marching, but I also sensed a familiar presence. As I turned around, I saw a large Imperial force departing from Whiterun. Its leader, he felt, familiar, intriguing. There was something different about this Imperial soldier. I couldn't see his face, but something about him felt familiar. Could it have been? No, surely not him. He never revealed his name, but his face is etched in my memory as if I saw it just yesterday. I had assumed he would have perished in this pointless war. I hope that isn't the case. He was one of the good ones, a rare quality among men. When I was locked up in solitude, he was the only guard who didn't abuse me. He treated me with care, almost like a friend. I still don't understand why, but if he's alive, I hope he's doing well.
You're here, and not a moment too soon. If anything should happen to Arn, there'll be hell to pay. A close friend of mine. We fought together on the battlefield for many years until old age got the better of us. Now it's up to me to save him one more time. This time from the executioner's block in Solitude. The city guard in Solitude is seeking Arn for a serious crime. When he fled here, he was arrested for drunken behavior. Can you imagine? Fortunately, his identity isn't known to the authorities in Whiterun, so there's still a chance to save him. Hold a moment. This is more than a simple prison break. I want to have Arn's name stricken from the record books permanently. I'm setting him up with a new identity. It's the only way to throw the guard permanently off his trail. The job is twofold. First, steal a letter that was sent from Solitude warning Whiterun's guard to be on the lookout for Arn. The second is to change Arn's name in the prison registry to his new identity. If it was easy, I would have hired a local thug instead of a professional. You see, both of these items are kept inside Dragon's Reach. And they don't allow visitors inside the Jarl's or the Steward's chambers. One more thing. If you get caught, I can't afford to be connected to you. Remember that before you do anything stupid.
The job was pathetically easy, and quite frankly boring. But the Battleborns are a powerful ally to have in Whiterun, so it's time to focus on another capital. Maybe Windhelm next. Once our contract with the Battleborns was complete, I would head back to Riften. However, it was getting late, so I would make the most of the remaining sunlight and then find an inn for the night. On the way back to the Rift, there was an inn in Riverwood, a quaint lumber town. It offered a peaceful and pleasant place to rest, away from the hustle and bustle. As winter approaches, it's wise to seek shelter indoors. The cold becomes too harsh even for us Nords, and it's also when the undead begin to venture out from their tombs. The place was quiet, and the beds warm. However, in the middle of the night, I was awoken by screams. I heard the sounds of fighting coming from in the inn, accompanied by the chilling screams of people shouting, "Vampires!" Riverwood was under a vicious vampire attack. I've been hearing about this for a while now. Vampires attacking towns and cities in numbers. I'm not about to become food for these creatures. It's time to feed them some of my arrows. I went outside into the cold with just my underwear and arrows. I didn't plan on becoming food for these things, so I'd clean the vampires out for free. They move faster and see better during the night. Unfortunately for them, so do I. I had the Lady of Luck and her gifts on my side, while they had the unfortunate essence of attacking while a nightingale was staying the night. While they may be creatures of the night, I am an agent of the night, drawing my abilities from none other than Nocturnal herself. When the sun rose, so would I. I came across the Guardian Stones, which held 3 Doomstones. I'm told that no other place in Tamriel has 3 Doomstones side by side. Throughout history, many travelers have been guided here by the Fates. There stood the warrior, for those who sought honor and glory through battle. And the mage, for those seeking power and to unlock the secrets of Aetherius. And the thief, for those like me who lurk in the shadows, without being seen or heard. Whenever I step foot into the rift, I feel light, like I'm home. The rift is the most beautiful hold in Skyrim, but when I entered its beauty, something felt different. I couldn't really place what. Maybe it was the fact that Imperial soldiers were patrolling the place. This was Stormcloak territory. So what were they doing here casually patrolling during the day? The Empire must have taken control of the rift while I was gone. I wonder how the Guild will fare under Imperial rule. I presume it will be a lot better for us. The Stormcloaks were harsh on criminals, but the Imperials seem to be more lenient or turn a blind eye. This will be beneficial for the Guild. Even those Talos hunters are here. Those who would die over religion deserve what they get. The only real god is gold. Only gold can create and destroy, and everybody is a strong believer in the weight of gold. I better get back to Delvin and let him know we have Whiterun. I'll then head north and aim for Windhelm within the week.
Still have quite a good bit of jobs available, if you're looking for some extra coin. Alfred sent ahead his compliments. Looks like his friend Arn is soon to be released, thanks to his brand new identity. More importantly, he's pledged the full support of the Battleborn clan to the Thieves Guild. I think you'll find that the guild is beginning to grow. We've had a merchant move into the space right outside the flagon. It's nice to shake off the cobwebs and get things rolling again. Keep this up, and I can see a bounty headed our way.
Like I said, the next target is the first city of men, Windhelm, the Stormcloak capital of the East. Its port would be of great use to the Guild, so that's where I'll hit, but during the daylight this time. I don't want to travel at night in the north with winter coming. One of the jobs was to pickpocket some stone from a mercenary, but during the day, that's going to be impossible. So I might just have to use my natural gifts as a woman. You smile at a man and pretend to care about what he's saying, and he'll do anything for a woman. They always wonder how the deer or the wolf fell into the trap, but then they look into our eyes, and it's all over. Within no time, they're telling you secrets they'd take to the grave or willing to take an arrow for you. I'd just smile and giggle, get him out of that armor, and take the stone I needed. He'd be lying there on the bed, thinking that this was the best day of his life, not worried enough to put his armor back on or check his pouches. He'd still be staring at the roof with a grin on his face. By the time he realizes he's missing something, and that maybe that pretty girl stole something, the entire city will be asking the same questions, and Windhelm will know we've come knocking. Some will be happier about it than others, with a mischievous twinkle in his eyes. When I broke into one of the high-end homes, I found the body of a woman who killed herself. It appears both of her daughters were murdered. That is terrible. No woman should have to go through this pain of losing her children. That being said, She doesn't need any of this stuff anymore. Look, I was more of a pickpocket than a lockbreaker. I'm not the greatest, but I've gotten pretty good. That being said, some locks are tougher than others. After a few days of raiding Windhelm, Delvin had another job lined up for me. Just Windhelm and Solitude left. And then we'll have control of all of Skyrim.
I don't know what you're made of, but I've never seen anyone tackle this many jobs without ending up dead or in jail. We got half of Skyrim back under our wing, and the coin's starting to flow. Now, if you're ready, I've got another special job for you. Got word from Torsten Cruelty in Windhelm that a rival guild is trying to get itself started. Not only that, but they're giving us thieves a bad name by murdering their marks. Get over there and see what you can do.
My daughter failed me. She was murdered a few months ago. Left her laying on the ground in a pool of her own blood. I assumed they were after her valuables. She always wore far too much jewelry in public. When I told her it'd be the death of her, I never thought. No need to explain. I'm well aware of your guild's methods. Took me weeks, but I finally tracked down to kill her. A bloody Altmer at that. Can you imagine? Let's just say I'm a firm believer in an eye for an eye and leave it at that. He fancied himself a thief in some sort of new guild forming around here. Gave me some valuable information before, well, you know. Well, like I told Delvin, I think we can help each other. You recover what I'm looking for, and take out a rival guild in the process. Exactly. One of the pieces stolen from her was a silver locket. A Cruel Sea family heirloom. I want it back. The only name I have is Miranda. Has a house right here in Windhelm. That's where you should begin looking.
This Windhelm, it's a dangerous place. All I ever seem to hear about is the murder of young women. Who would want to live here? So we have a rival guild from the Somerset Isles setting up in Skyrim. It's time for these elven bastards to meet the Thieves Guild. This is our turf, and if you're going to murder Nord women, we've got something to say about that. Our job was simple. Retrieve a stolen amulet from these Somerset shadows and clean house of a rival guild, leaving only a mess for the next crew that takes over this cave. Nobody is going to get in our way.
And you thought I was just a pretty face.
All you've got. Another day, another victory.
We put down the Somerset shadows. They shall no longer operate in our lands and kill our people. Linwy was dead, and the amulet was in our possession. All that remained was to burn down their flag and inform the client.
It pains me to see this locket. To be reminded of Fiotli once more, but I'm glad it's back where it belongs. Tell Delvin that if he still desires to have my support for the Thieves Guild in Windhelm, he's got it. I should have been an adventurer like you instead of a farmer.
Still have quite a good bit of jobs available, if you're looking for some extra coin. Torsten was gratified the death of his daughter was avenged, and the heirloom was returned. At this very moment, he's laying the groundwork for the guild to re-establish itself in Windhelm. Burning that banner was a nice touch too. Should send a clear message to the Somerset Shadows that we're a force to be reckoned with. Success means the guild is getting stronger. We've picked up another merchant and a new recruit. Being a thief is like a second skin for you, ain't it? Never seen anything like it. If you don't watch out, you might even earn Vex's respect. That'd be something, eh?
The final step to regain full power for the guild was the capital of the West, Solitude. Just like Windhelm, it has a great port, but this port is controlled by the East Empire Company. Once we control the ports, Skyrim will be ours for the taking. Nobody will be able to challenge us. We will become a force to be reckoned with. We could steal anything, bribe any guard, and gather information on anybody. Nobody would be out of our reach. While making my way to Solitude, I once again sensed that peculiar presence. It was the Imperial soldier I saw in Whiterun. Hold on a moment. His face. Oh my goodness, that's him. That's the Imperial soldier from the prisons in Solitude, the one who showed me kindness. I could never, ever forget that face. I think he sensed what I was feeling. The whole time, he was just staring at me. I arrived in Solitude late. Solitude was going through a storm. This was beneficial, aside from getting wet. With the rain and thunder, people wouldn't hear light footsteps around their houses. They would have no idea I was even there. I would do what I always do. Break in, get into lockboxes, and leave an impression for the people of Solitude when they wake up to find their belongings missing. Solitude was ripe for the picking. It was the wealthiest of the 9 holds. Solitude was like all the candy you could eat for an orphan. Even the commoners here had gilded flasks. The people here lived well, being so close to High Rock and from all the Imperial influence. And not to mention all the nobility. Their houses were teeming with gold, gems, and jewelry. This was a dream spot for a thief. My last job involved stealing a gem from a bard. However, when I entered the building, I felt a strange sensation, as if I were being drawn towards a woman sitting there, lost in her own thoughts, while enjoying a drink. I swear I've seen her before, crossing the Dragon Bridge. She gave off a feeling that I knew her and trusted her, even though I had never met her. It was very odd. When I returned to Riften with my pockets full, it was morning, and I was very tired. I felt like I could sleep away a week. The first thing I would do is get my pay for the jobs and go get some rest.
Well, you done or what? Oh, you're back? I suppose you'll be wanting your pay then. Don't give up now. There's plenty of loot out there just ripe for the taking.
After eliminating Mercer, I was granted a small hideaway within the Ratway that used to belong to him. It became my very first home, my own little sanctuary as a thief. It provides me with a sense of peace and tranquility, a place where I can safely store my gold and belongings. As an orphan, having a home of my own holds a special significance for me. It's a feeling that all the hardships I've endured were worth it. Having a place to call my own brings a sense of comfort and stability that I've longed for. After some rest, Delvin had one last job for me.
Well, I never thought I'd see the guild this way ever again. The place is growing into what it used to be when Gallus was running the show. Contacts are springing up all over, and I've got young footpads beating down the door to join up. I've got one last special request of you. Finish this one, and all of Skyrim's ours for the taking. I need you to make your way to Solitude and talk to Erica. He's looking to run some kind of a shield job. Now, he's not exactly going to welcome you with open arms, but keep your cool. Do this job right, and we've just made an important friend out there.
I was headed back to Solitude once more to meet Erica. During the day, he was in the Blue Palace, but the guards won't allow someone like me inside. So, once again, I would break into his house and make myself comfortable, perhaps enjoying a drink while I waited for him to return home.
The Imperials are good for business, and business is good for Skyrim. About time you got here. I'm not accustomed to dealing with people who are unreliable. That's why I asked Delvin to send me his best. Huh, that remains to be seen. Nothing raises my ire more than having an agreement broken. It's bad for business, and it wastes time. Captain Volf of the Dainty Slode has decided to test my patience on this matter by neglecting to honor a trade agreement we had established. I need you to help me show him the error of his ways by sneaking on board the Slode and planting some contraband. You'll need to get your hands on some Balmora Blue from Sabine Niet down by the docks. She's the first mate on another ship, the Red Wave. Once you get your hands on it, I want you to plant it in Captain Volf's footlocker. I'll take care of the rest. Captain Wolf is ashore right now, and I want the authorities waiting for him when he gets back.
Now get going. I don't want to see your face until the job's done.
This frame job. Eriker wanted me to plant some Balmora Blue, a substance that's illegal everywhere, on a captain's ship. First, I had to obtain it from a sailor named Sabine who was aboard a ship docked in Solitude, known as the Red Wave. I bought the Balmora Blue, then took back my gold. I could have bought a house with that sort of gold, and they call me the thief. Well, they're not wrong. This place, where it all really started. If I hadn't been spotted by the lighthouse keeper, I wouldn't be where I am now. It's time to go and deliver this little present to these sailors. While I may not be an assassin by trade, I find myself capable of such skills. However, if I were to leave all these bodies behind, and the Solitude guards were to investigate the ship for contraband, it would raise suspicion. It would be highly suspicious if everyone on board were dead. To accomplish my mission, I must navigate the area unseen, discreetly plant the Balmora Blue on the ship, and make my exit without being detected. I must remain hidden, keeping to the shadows.
Yes, I know. In fact, by now, Captain Wolf should be on his way to the prisons. Our contract is complete. Here's a token of my gratitude for your efforts. Oh, convey my compliments to Delvin for me. Tell him I'll be happy to reopen whatever doors he needs in Solitude.
When I returned to the Ragged Tavern, it was unusually quiet and empty. I couldn't help but wonder, where was everyone?
So, they're making you Guildmaster, eh? Good. Just find Brynjolf and he can make it official.
It's already time? I completely lost track, being so incredibly busy with the task of rebuilding the guild. It's as if I was born for this, destined to take on such a role. I have always been mindful of my actions, carefully considering the most effective path towards my goals. I learned at a young age that if something appears too easy to attain, there is usually a catch. And rebuilding the guild wasn't easy.
Look, I've never been good at these things, so I'm just gonna keep it short. Being Guildmaster means more than just getting a cut of all the loot. It's about being a leader, and keeping this rabble in order. With that in mind, I propose that the position of Guildmaster should be yours. Delvin?
Agree.
Thanks.
Sure, why not?
Carlia?
Absolutely.
Everyone is in agreement. So all I can do now is name you Guildmaster. I wish you good fortune and long life.
Now everyone, get back to work.
I suppose congratulations are in order. Now don't screw it up.
The guild's at full strength, and we have you to thank for it. We've had our share of dark times, and now they seem like a distant memory. I'm gonna tell you something you'll never hear me say again. And if you tell anyone I told you, I'll deny it. When you walk through the guild, don't be ashamed to hold your head high, because you're the best damn thief in the place.
Even the new Jarl honored us with her presence. The guild had regained its full power. With the support of Riften and its Jarl, our influence extended throughout Skyrim. There was no one we couldn't rob, no one we couldn't deceive. We had ears everywhere, gathering any information we desired. The Ragged Flagon was now bustling with merchants, bringing life and activity to the once empty establishment. Our vaults, which were once filled with cobwebs, now overflowed with gleaming gold. And now, I find myself as the boss of bosses, with more gold than I could ever fathom spending. Life is now perfect. Nothing will get in the way of this. Nothing.
Now, this story is pretty much a filler. I'll be honest with you, I didn't totally enjoy making it. I did enjoy parts of it, like the sort of connecting them to older chapters with certain characters. But yeah, this was for the first time ever in like the 13 years or the time I've ever done these quests. This is probably the easiest time to actually do all these quests. I mean, last year when I did this, Vex made me very upset because she kept giving me missions I didn't want, and I threatened to cut that bitch's head off, and I fucking did. She made me very upset by not giving me the missions that I fucking wanted, so I got a little angry, threatened to cut her head off and dump her in the lake, and that's exactly what I did. But this time, I didn't need to, because she was well better behaved. I don't know if there's AI in Skyrim they learn from like player behavior, but I think she really learned this time. But again, this was more of a filler. This is more of an ending to the Thieves Guild characters' story. It's not the end for their story, and I will definitely get into that, and I'll even tell you it's a spoiler, because I want to tell you about this in the outro, but I'll tell you, if you're not interested in knowing what's going to happen with this character, and even other characters, I'll tell you it's a spoiler, and you can just bugger off, but if you're in the outro, you're probably here for that anyway, because it's kind of what I do. I talk about the future of this story chapter, or that character that's in the story that I've just done. But yeah, and so let's go and talk about the things where I like connect things, because I liked that. I thought it was pretty cool. Now this right here, this I really wanted to put in, and this is one of my biggest, or not anymore actually, Sigund's one took over. This is one of my greatest chapters that I've put out, and you see this in the chapter, and you see him walking past Whiterun, and I wanted to connect that. I wanted to have another character see that, and she knows this character quite well, because if you haven't watched it, you know, I think it's chapter 1, or not chapter 1, but it's her first chapter. It's called The Thief, and she gets locked up because she gets caught doing a crime, and she's in there I think for like a year or so. She was going to get her head cut off, but the Civil War started, and a lot of the Imperial soldiers abused her and used her body because she was a young pretty Nord, a young hot redhead. But he was the only one that didn't, because he felt something for her. Not like a... It's the kind of thing I got going on in this game, where people that are connected to the Elder Scroll, those written kind of their stories to join, this is kind of like a spoiler thing, not a big spoiler thing, they kind of have this sixth sense, where they can kind of sense each other, and they feel feelings they have no idea about. Like, the Dragonborn, she has that quite a bit, because she's a center of it. But she'll feel things for someone that she doesn't even know. Like, she can trust them. Like, they will train, like they are someone to listen to, someone to really pay attention to, or someone that she can trust, someone that will look after her and protect her, or this or that, and blah blah blah. She has those senses about people, and so do these other guys that, you know, are connected in the Elder Scrolls somewhat. Now, Tofa, if you haven't watched it, she gets locked up and she's thrown in the Solitude jails, and for 6 months she's kind of abused. And there's one guy that doesn't. There's the one guy that brings her food and brings her wine. Now, why is this? Because I didn't want my character to be a rapist, but actually because he felt something different. He felt like that wasn't right, because he felt like he knew her, like she was a friend. He'd bring wine in and cheese and bread, and actually like treat her like a person, not like, you know, someone to fuck. And the only reason he did that is because he had this weird sense about it. It's weird that he knew that she would achieve greatness, that she would go from the, you know, zero to hero, and he had no idea why, but it made him treat her better. And eventually, yeah, he went to, the last time she saw him was escorting, forgot his name, the dude that gets executed in Solitude, Rogvir, and that's the last time she sees him. And he's dragged into the Civil War, and his story goes on its own. And eventually, 6 months or 3 months after that, I don't remember which one, the wall behind her breaks and she gets out and goes on her own journey. And I loved connecting this arc, you know, when she's going to do the Whiterun job, and there's another story in the background going on. I'll do it a bit later too, which is, this is something I like about just putting all these characters together. Now here I did it again. She finally sees his helmets off, and she sees his face, and it's a face she'll never forget, because there's certain people will, when they commit certain acts of kindness or depravity or whatever kind of thing they do, you always remember their face. And his face hasn't changed that much from the time she saw him. Senturos remains clean shaven a lot. Only thing that's probably added to his look is a few scars across the face from his time in the Civil War. But she's like, holy shit, that was him. because she saw him on the roads, and she thought about it. She's like, that could be... No, there's no way he would have died in the war. And because maybe, he was down again. He told her he was going off to fight. And that's kind of what I think. When he was down in the prisons, basically having a chat to her, saying, I've been basically given orders to go out to Fort of Ragstag and fight with this other Imperial, and I'll catch you later. If I don't come back, I'm dead. And he never came back, so she would have thought he died. And boom, there he is. And we see him, obviously, when she comes back to Riften, it's now controlled by the Imperials, because he marched past her and he went off and did his chapter, which was chapter... I don't remember. 35, 36? I don't remember. So his story was done there, and he's got his housecarls, his bodyguards, and she sees him walking past. The very man that walked past her was the reason why she came back the next day, and it was now controlled by the Imperials. So, it's a cool little arc right there. I like to connect these sort of things. We've got one more to get through, and then I'll tell you about the spoilers. Now, another one of these connectors is this one. I did this a bit late, and the reason I say that maybe the reason Ragni didn't censor her is because she was deep in her thoughts. But again, I don't know. Maybe she was just deep in concentrating on, does she join the Dawn Guard? Does she go to Cyrodiil? Like, what does she do? Does she follow her dreams and travel as a bard? Or does she take the fight up against the Dawn Guard? With the Dawn Guard? And that's kind of what I decided to go with. And I just want to kind of connect it, like you see two different stories in the background, and this is kind of what it's all about when you're creating different characters and having their own story arcs. They will come across other characters that are having their own story arcs, and this is what I like doing. I like just seeing that snippet of it. In chapter 36 or 7, she's sitting there talking about that she will join the fight, that she will lend her blade to the fight against the vampires. And here's Tofa just stealing shit in the very room that she's thinking about. She's deep in her thoughts right now, and here's another character doing her own thing. I don't know, to me, making it just feels awesome that there's two different things going on at the one time, and I love that. Now this puts an end to sort of... I won't get the spoilers just yet. This kind of puts an end to the story of Tofa the Fox, the Thieves Guild character. Because when she starts off, it kind of throws you into the deep end. There's no mods yet that kind of grab... Like, I would love to see a mod, especially the guy that made Mercer Winterhold, where you actually study. Like, a mod where you're actually, like, given contracts by Vex and Delvin before you're trusted with going into the... Like maybe you got to do, like, 15 or 5 jobs. Like, you have to do, like... It's the exact same thing you have to do when you ally the cities to your cause. Like, you have to do 5 or 6 missions. It doesn't matter where you go, but you have to complete 5 or 6 missions, or at least do 5 or 6 missions before you're given the Golden Go contract. So you can actually be a thief. You can actually roleplay as a thief. Unfortunately, there's no such mod as that just yet, so she was thrown into the deep end, and within the space of, like, what, a day or a week, she'd killed Mercer. But this one was kind of... I've always imagined the Thieves Guild character to be a tactician. You have to be smart. And so I made her smart where she's running her own little bandit crew. She was deciding to attack from other bandits, because if she didn't attack from other bandits, she'd kill people on the roads. It brings suspicion. Doesn't matter if it was an Imperial lands or Stormcloak lands, they'd bring the hammer down on her because she's killing merchants or she's killing travellers. But the Empire, the Stormcloaks, don't give a shit if they're raiding other raiders. And that's how she earned her living before she was met during the night by a certain vigilant that mistook them for the contract she was after, and murdered all her friends, and then she ends up in jail. She meets a certain character, the Diamond, I like to call him, and she joins the Thieves Guild, and she's now given the opportunity to run the Thieves Guild, and she does the hard work. Now, one of the most important things is, I don't know, man, like if you're running a guild or any sort of leadership and your neighbours hate you, not a very good thing. You're going to want the people around you to like you, to want you here. Right, and so Riften hates the Thieves Guild because in their desperation, the Thieves Guild robbed Riften pretty much, blind. And so her idea was to mend relationships, invest in the merchants' businesses, help them out with things they needed, and by doing this, it shows the merchants that there's no longer the same Thieves Guild that was run by Mercer Frey. It's now a Thieves Guild willing to work with the merchants, so not willing to rob them, take protection money, just let them run their businesses, maybe aid them, throw some money at them here and there, and help them with things they need, which will make them friends, make them trustworthy. And then you don't have to worry about, everyone in Riften basically pointing their swords at you, being surrounded by people that hate you. So to me it was very smart for her to get into a position where she turns Riften from an enemy to an ally. You know, she basically goes, no contracts in Riften, unless they're travelers, unless they're wealthy merchants. If it's a citizen of Riften, get rid of all those contracts, unless it's by Maven. But if it's a traveler, a mercenary, an adventurer, whatever, fair game, whatever, we'll hit them. But Riften's off the table. We're making friends with the merchants, we're making friends with the people, so they love us and they want us here. And that's kind of, and then she kind of expands out and takes over Skyrim. But during this, Maven takes the position of Jarl, because the Empire took over Riften, which kind of really buffs the power, because now, you know, their main contact in Riften is now the goddamn leader of Riften. She's the royalty of Riften, which is even better for him, puts him in a high position of power. And when they take over Skyrim, they basically have an unlimited reach. They can steal anything they want. They can blackmail anyone they want. They can get information on anybody they want. They become probably the most powerful guild in all of Skyrim. They have the reach to do anything they want. Steal your shit, break into your vaults, gather information on you, and blackmail you. So she's in a very high position of power at the time she's running the guild, and that's the kind of way I wanted it. People always seem to comment on female characters, calling them feminist. Well, maybe, yes and no. I like to write these characters to be strong. She's kind of a feminist. Not a feminist as in she's going to dye her hair blue, red, yellow, pink, whatever the fuck, have rainbow alphabet army sort of shit. She's going to be a feminist because not like, you know, power to the female. You know, not like all females. Chicks really hate each other. I don't know why they always back each other up. But she's going to be there to make herself strong, make herself powerful. Because even in Skyrim, which is a fantasy world, women are everywhere. Guilds, bandits, armies, doesn't really matter. I don't see that division against males and females, like in modern day or historical games, like there is. But even still in Skyrim, men are in a position of power. It doesn't really matter. Men will always seem to, you know, control things in the world of Tamriel. But she wants to be like Maven. She wants to be strong. She doesn't give a shit about, you know, other females being strong. She gives a shit about herself being strong, putting herself in a place of power, so no one can fuck with her. And that's kind of the way she is. She's not a feminist. She's like, oh, women's rights, we are whinging and bitching like they do today in the modern day. She is there inserting herself into the world and making herself powerful by giving zero fucks what others think and doing the hard work to make herself strong. So she's a feminist in a good sort of way, like the sort of equal rights, equal fights sort of way. That's, you know, like other female characters, they're fighting with the blokes. I love that sort of, you know, if you want something, you fight for it, and that's exactly what she's done. Now, let's get to the spoilers of the future of Tofa's character and even other two guild characters. But Minerva's character, which is the college I went to hold, Mage's Guild, and the companion's character, Tonrock, you know, the warrior. So let's get to their little sort of, because all their 3 chapters are now done, but they're not completely done. Their story isn't over. Now, these characters, I designed them to have their very own life. You know, I wanted the guilds to have their own character, not to be the mighty Dragonborn. Like I said, I wanted to fulfill these roles by different people that walk different paths. And this is spoilers, so if you're not interested in knowing where the story's going to go, you should probably, you know, get out of here. They have all had their own walks in life, their own stories, their own paths to follow. But eventually one day when big-ass flying lizards with breathe fire return, they'll all be called to follow one path. The Dragonborn will call for aid because she's young and she's inexperienced against fighting dragons, and she's not very a powerful Dragonborn. She's just beginning. She's, you know, even at this stage of being the Dragonborn, she could probably be charged by 15 bandits and be murdered. She needs help, and she'll meet a lot of them on the way. She'll meet Minerva in the College Arcanium, who she's studying and reading, when she sees an Imperial soldier and a Stormcloak soldier walk in with a woman, and she's like, what the fuck, what are these two doing together? Following her. And then she overhears and decides to aid the Dragonborn in her pursuit of an Elder Scroll. And that's how she joins up, because it's adventuring and it's helping save the world from these big-ass flying lizards. And then, again, later on, I think it's later on, pretty sure it's later on, when she walks into the Ragged Flagon and talks to Brynjolf about an old man, and there is Tofa overhearing the conversation because Thalmor have just walked into a bar asking questions, and then like I just said, a woman and two Imperial soldiers, an Imperial soldier and a Stormcloak soldier have walked in together following this woman, and she's like, what the fuck? And she overhears the conversation, and the Thalmor basically follow her in because the rat sort of Nord dude, I don't kill him in that diplomatic immunity sort of thing. He basically, they go to ambush the Dragonborn in a team. And so what Tofa does is she gets up, goes back to her room, like the CC Creation Club home, puts on her gear, and basically sets up an ambush for the Thalmor. And when the Dragonborn and her team come back to the Ratway door, basically the Nord goes, oh, that's the Dragonborn right there, kill her. And so she comes out of the shadows shooting arrows. This is the idea of it anyway. If it works like that in game, it's a different thing. And she'll kill him, or help kill him. And then they'll be like, what the fuck was that? Who just helped us? And then she'll disappear in the darkness, and there's this part like right beside the door which is pure darkness. And I did this last year when I was doing this story, and you could only see like the tiniest little glow if she moves of her eyes, from the Nightingale Prime Armor. And it's kind of like she'll she'll walk out of the shadows like Batman and just feel like, hey. And she'll join. Now she's wearing the Nightingale gear, so no one knows who she is at all. And I like to think the Nightingale gear has the exact same sort of ability that the Grey Cow has. It hides the identity. But these are people in service to Nocturnal, so they get that without the rare perception of those that don't, the Grey Cow. And she'll remain the Nightingale. And she'll join up not because she wants to be a hero, because she knows dragons are bad for business. If they burn down Skyrim, there's no gold to be made. If they take control of Skyrim, she can't run the business. She can't be a leader or the boss because, again, now the dragons own Skyrim. She's just another human slave. So she'll join out of necessity because, like I said, there's no gold to be made in Skyrim being burnt down or controlled by dragons. Now, I thought of just a cool idea just now while I was actually making this, and this was an idea that's been like in the background. The Nightingale doesn't want her identity to be known, right, so she won't ever take her helmet off. But again, she's with the Dragonborn, she needs to sleep and she needs to eat and all that sort of stuff. Now, during the peace treaty, the Imperials and the Stormcloaks will have their troops with them. Senturos and Sigund will have both of their troops with them. And she'll dress up as an Imperial. She'll basically hide away, take her armor off, dress up as an Imperial soldier, and waltz around the castle. And when the Dragonborn's moving out the day after, she'll learn that, and she'll go gather her gear on, and she'll reappear. So she'll disappear when they get back to castle, back to their HQ, and then reappear, and then the Dragonborn's leaving. Like I said, she will reappear, but when the Dragonborn leaves, because she's dressing up as an Imperial. So there's two different versions I'll have of it. There'll be the one called the Nightingale, and there'll be one called her name, and she'll hang around the Imperial soldiers looking like one of them, so she knows when the Dragonborn's going to head out. Camouflage, I guess you could say. Now, I thought of this cool idea, is when the Dragon War's done and it's all over and done with, when Elderwind's defeated, she'll remain with the Imperial soldiers. She won't go back to the Thieves Guild because the person that saved or treated her kindly, didn't need to, is now leading that Imperial division. So she'll serve with him to keep him alive because she feels a sort of responsibility to help someone out that helped her out, that looked after her, that cared for her. And she has this kind of like, this relationship of care towards Senturos because he was kind to her when no one else was, or he didn't need to be. So she'll fight with him, but mainly the main reason is because she wants the Empire to win. Because if the Stormcloaks win, that means Maven's kicked out of Riften and they lose their position of power there. And the Stormcloaks aren't very kind to criminals. They fucking execute them on the spot pretty much. They are really, really savage when it comes to law-abiding citizens, non-law-abiding citizens. And their position at Riften could be at serious risk, and they could be burnt out by the Stormcloaks after the war. But the Empire is sort of more lenient and sort of doesn't look at their crimes, doesn't really care unless it's really bad. So, position that she'll help a friend out that helped her out, but also the fact that she will essentially make sure the side that will benefit the Thieves Guild's future, she'll fight with them. She'll fight with the Empire to make sure the Stormcloaks are gone so they can't come back in, take their position of power away from Riften, and don't end up burning them out of the right way and, you know, executing them all because they're criminals. So that was a cool new little idea within like 10 or 15 minutes ago that I thought she could stick around, because there's many other characters that will stick around or join other sides at the end of the day when the Dragon Wars is done. When all these characters kind of unite, they either go their own ways or they follow certain other characters, you know, in the attempts to end the war. And she will stick around for the Empire to basically secure the Thieves Guild's future and help out an old friend. Anyway, this intro probably went for way longer than it needed to. I hope you guys have enjoyed, and yeah, if you like this sort of stuff, chuck us a subscribe, and I'm definitely doing more. There's still a lot more chapters to come out, a lot more, and this could be another journey for another, what, 6 or 7 to 8 months, who knows. But you get stories. I'm out of here. I hope you guys have I hope you guys look after yourselves, and I hope you guys have enjoyed, and have a good one. Peace.